A Sand County Almanac by Aldo Leopold, Chapter 10, October, Section 1, Smoky Gold. There are two kinds of hunting, ordinary hunting and rough grouse hunting. There are two places to hunt grouse, ordinary places and Adams County. There are two times to hunt in Adams, ordinary times and when the tamaracks are smoky gold. This is written for those luckless ones who have never stood, gun empty and mouth agape, to watch the golden needles come sifting down while the feathery rocket that knocked them off sails unscathed into the jack pines. The tamaracks change from green to yellow when the first frosts have brought woodcock, fox sparrows, and juncos out of the north. Troops of robins are stripping the last white berries from the dogwood thickets, leaving the empty stems as a pink haze against the hill. The creekside alders have shed their leaves, exposing here and there an eyeful of holly. Brambles are aglow, lighting your footsteps grousewood. The dog knows what is grousewood better than you do. You will do well to follow him closely, reading from the cock of his ears the story the breeze is telling. When at last he stops stock still and says with a sideward glance, "Well, get ready." The question is, ready for what? A twittering woodcock, or the rising roar of a grouse, or perhaps only a rabbit. In this moment of uncertainty is condensed much of the virtue of grouse hunting. He who must know what to get ready for should go and hunt pheasants. Hunts differ in flavor, but the reasons are subtle. The sweetest hunts are stolen. To steal a hunt, either go far into the wilderness where no one has been, or else find some undiscovered place under everybody's nose. Few hunters know that grouse exists in Adams County, for when they drive through it, they see only a waste of jack pines and scrub oaks. This is because the highway intersects a series of west-running creeks, each of which heads in a swamp, but drops to the river through dry sand barrens. Naturally, the northbound highway intersects these swampless barrens, but just above the highway, and behind the screen of dry scrub, every creeklet expands into a broad ribbon of swamp, a sure haven for grouse. Here, come October, I sit in the solitude of my tamaracks and hear the hunters' cars roaring up the highway, hell-bent for the crowded counties to the north. I chuckle as I picture their dancing speedometers, their strained faces, their eager eyes glued on the northward horizon. At the noise of their passing, a cock grouse drums his defiance. My dog grins as we note his direction. That fellow, we agree, needs some exercise. We shall look him up presently. The tamaracks grow not only in the swamp, but at the foot of the bordering upland, where springs break forth. Each spring has become choked with moss, which forms a boggy terrace. I call these terraces the hanging gardens, for out of their sodden muck the fringed gentians have lifted blue jewels. Such an October gentian, dusted with tamarack gold, is worth a full stop and a long look, even when the dog signals grouse ahead. Between each hanging garden and the creekside is a moss-paved deer trail, handy for the hunter to follow, and for the flushed grouse to cross in a split second. The question is, whether the bird and the gun agree on how a second should be split. If they do not, the next year that passes finds a pair of empty shells to sniff at, but no feathers. Higher up the creeklet, I encounter an abandoned farm. I try to read from the age of the young jack pines marching across an old field. How long ago the luckless farmer found out that sand plains were meant to grow solitude, not corn. Jack pines tell tall tales to the unwary, but they put on several worlds of branches each year instead of only one. I find a better chronometer in an elm seedling that now blocks the barn door. It rings date back to the drought of 1930. Since that year, no man has carried milk out of this barn. I wonder what this family thought about when their mortgage finally outgrew their crops, and thus gave the signal for their eviction. Many thoughts, like flying grouse, leave no trace of their passing, but some leave clues that outlast the decades. He who in some forgotten April planted this lilac must have thought pleasantly of blooms for all the Aprils to come. She who used this washboard, its corrugations worn thin with many Mondays, may have wished for a cessation of all Mondays, and soon. Musing on these questions, I become aware of the dog down by the spring, pointing patiently these many minutes. I woke up, apologizing for my inattention. Up twitters a woodcock, bat-like, his salmon breast soaked in October sun. Thus goes the hunt. It's hard on such a day to keep one's mind on grouse, for there are many distractions. I cross a bug track in the sand and follow in idle curiosity. The track leads straight from one Jersey tea bush to another, with nipped twigs showing why. This reminds me of my own lunch, but before I get it pulled out of my game pocket, I see a circling hawk, high skyward, needing identification. I wait till he banks and shows his red tail. I reach again for the lunch, but my eye catches a peeled pawpaw. Here, a bug has rubbed off his itchy velvet. How long ago? The exposed wood is already brown. I conclude that horns must therefore be clean by now. I reach again for the lunch, but I'm interrupted by an excited yawp from the dog and a crash of bushes in the swamp. Out springs a buck, flag aloft, horns shining, his coat a sleek blue. Yes, the pawpaw told the truth. This time, I get the lunch all the way out and sit down to eat. A chickadee watches me and grows confidential about his lunch. He doesn't say what he ate. Perhaps it was cool turgid ant eggs or some other avian equivalent of cold roast grouse. Lunch over, I regard a phalanx of young tamaracks, their golden lances thrashing skyward. Under each, the needles of yesterday fall to earth, building a blanket of smoky gold. At the tip of each, the bud of tomorrow, preformed, poised, awaits another spring.